Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kara.
So, Kara, did you do anything this weekend or the past week since we talked last?
Last weekend I went to 2 conventions back to back.
Wow, cool.
The first one was great. And then the second one, I was also fine, but then I came home and immediately that Monday I tested positive for COVID. So I currently, as we're recording this, not the date this comes out, just for clarification.
Yes, this is
June 9th. I tested positive.
Yes.
On, let me pull it up, June 6th, just so people don't get confused when I had COVID. So if I sound a little weird, that's why. I had relatively no real symptoms so far, just a headache, and my throat's been feeling a little weird today, but other than that, I felt okay. My other friends who also got it, not feeling as great. I got very lucky, it seems. They're all miserable, and Did I tell you?
The cough and
no,
all
Savannah has it,
and
she is stuck in Detroit right now, Michigan.
What?
She drove someone home from the con, and she tested positive after that, and so she was like,
"Oh no,
I can't go home."
That.
So she is stuck currently.
Oh my god!
In Detroit, because she doesn't want to go home and give it to Evan, because Evan's back at home with the cats. And Jackson also has it, the one that she was dropping off. So she's basically just kind of quarantining up there.
Oh, wow. I didn't
She can't go to work
that.
Or anything. So
yeah, so what is... I was going to say, I guess her work obviously knows that she's got COVID. But wow, that's crazy.
She literally tested positive also the same day I did. We both took a test. And
why did both of you test positive, Kara? What were you all doing that probably got...
I went to a potluck on the Wednesday of the convention. And literally everyone I know that went... got it from that day. So we're pretty confident it was from whatever party we went to that day.
Lessons learned, right?
I've learned my lesson not to go to a party.
That's right, you in conventions, you have all kinds of trouble.
This is my first time I've gotten though.
Well, no, gotten COVID. I know, COVID, but I meant things happen to you, health issues. Yes,
yeah, don't remind me of. Yeah, I got that back cyst on my. That was terrible.
That was awful. I can't believe that was crazy. And what do we learn from that lesson? Not to get in a hot tub with an open wound, right?
Yeah, I guess. And I'm gonna be scared going back to that convention. Because that's my Texas one. That's coming up soon. I just booked my flight.
Well, don't get in the hot tub with an open wound, or make sure there are no open wounds.
I'm gonna be paranoid. I'm gonna be scared to get in that freaking pool.
It's a breeding ground of bacteria. Hot tubs are.
Well, that convention was also the one I just went to was also the water park one. So there's a bunch of people just breathing in each other's air and the water park close proximity in the hot tubs and stuff. I'm not shocked that a lot of people got it. Just make sure people get tested is my whole thing, and so they can tell people.
Test and make sure you tell.
Yeah, I literally messaged every single one of my clients and everything. So.
And when you are positive, just stay home for a couple of days. Yeah. It's not that big.
I hate it. I'm trapped in this goddamn house.
That's the only thing that I hated too.
And I have to order food because we didn't have any food because we came back from the convention and we don't have any food. So I'm just
do Kroger's.
Yeah,
they deliver.
I don't know about
all the time.
Kroger, but I'm gonna.
But anyway, so you went to a convention and you had fun, and so you found out you had COVID.
Yeah, I didn't really have any symptoms either, so I had no clue I had it.
See, that's the hard thing anymore. You don't really know if you have it or not.
But so my friends started testing positive. I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I would have taken a test eventually, but I would have waited, because normally you're supposed to wait 5 days out before you take a test. But I was like, oh, if they're already testing, I might as well do one now.
So you were at OhioCon this weekend.
No, ColossalCon.
ColossalCon, sorry, and that's where all that transpired. But where were you? Were out in California
I was at Fanime
last week, weren't you? Okay, and how was that? And where did you visit anything cool while you were out there besides the convention?
No, I mainly just went to the convention. Okay. It was just too tight of a schedule I had.
You didn't do anything because you had such a tight schedule there when you were in California?
Yeah, because I only had really We were there Thursday through Monday, and I was taking photos Friday through Sunday. My other days were travel days.
So you're up first this week.
Yep.
So what do you have for us this week on our podcast here?
We're going to be talking about another cryptid this time. We're going to be talking about another West Virginia cryptid, kind of near Mr. Mothman. We're going to be talking about the Flatwoods Monster today.
All right.
Which I had heard about the Flatwoods Monster, but I didn't actually know the story until I actually looked into it. So yeah, guess what? We're gonna be learning stuff today.
Because what's funny is I almost did him too. I was like, huh, but then I was like, nah, I'll do.
Well, good thing because that would have sucked if we both covered the same freaking topic. Same thing.
I know. Just to let people know, we never tell each other what we're doing.
Yeah,
so it's always
a surprise.
We're always got different topics, which is good, but. There's always that chance that we might both end up with the same one.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right. Go ahead, Kara. Take it away.
Right. So, the cryptid was spotted in Flatwoods, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
This is the story. On September 12th, 1952, on a Friday night, two young boys, Freddie May and Edison May, while playing outside, they saw a bright light streaking across the sky. The object was said to have landed on a hill top of a farm nearby. So the boys ran home. They were kind of freaked out about the whole thing. So they told their parents, and then that they saw a UFO land on the farmer's property. That is what they claimed.
Okay.
So a group of locals, I'm not sure why they just grabbed.
I was gonna say, where'd they go? Get all these people?
They just grabbed a bunch of people, a bunch of kids. There was 6 of them, I believe. So there was some of the kids were there.
So it's like Stranger Things or
basically, literally, I would say it was like Stranger Things. They all went to investigate.
Okay, got it.
So, so a group of locals and the boys, then trespassed on the property. They had to climb a fence to get on this property because they were so nosy. They were like, "Oh, what's going on over here?" So they tried to find the object the boys originally saw. Mm-hmm. One of the boys brought a dog with them. And the dog ran ahead at one point, out of sight, and started barking like crazy. And then the dog returned shortly after with its tail between its legs, clearly upset.
Ooh, yeah, that's never a good sign.
That's not a good sign either, no. So, after reaching the top of the hill, one of the group members, Neil Nunley, claimed he saw a large, pulsating ball of fire about 50 feet to the right. But none of the other people in the group claim to have seen this part of it.
That's weird.
So it's a little weird. There's some people who they basically did the eyewitness thing where they asked them all what they saw and their things, and they're all they kind of varied. There were definitely overlapping things about the creature, but they were definitely different. And this is the only one that claimed that he saw the ball of fire.
Ball of light or whatever. Oh, okay.
So other members of the group claimed that they saw 2 red glowing animal eyes in a tree, initially. They thought it was a raccoon or possum. And then when they shined the light on it, they discovered that it was actually a 10-foot tall monster with a blood red face and a green body that seemed to glow.
Ooh.
And their
wait a minute.
Yeah, that's
Okay, let's back up just a sec.
Yeah.
Since when do raccoon eyes turn red?
That's what I was thinking that too. Because I don't think they shine they shine that weird
bright.
color.
Yeah, but they don't shine
red.
I've never seen red eyes ever. Okay, carry on.
Like I said,
a little weird.
It's a very strange story. I won't.
Yeah. Okay.
After reading it, I was like, weird.
What did I just read? Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah. So the monster. So it also had its head shape was shaped kind of like the spade, in the card deck. It was a very weird shaped head.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. The monster was said to have hissed and started gliding towards them. They described it as gliding, it didn't walk towards
Floating
them.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it kind of like a ghost, it glided towards them.
All right, weird.
And the party also claimed that there was an overpowering smell that burned their nose from the monster. That was something that they all kind of agreed on, that they did smell that.
Well, you know what's interesting? When I was reading some information on one of the Roswell crashes or whatever, it was an old alien crash, they talked about how when the guy went to investigate that there was a strong smell. I don't know if there's some like
something
weird
related
smell
to
that
it.
comes
Yeah,
from alien stuff. I don't know. Interesting.
that is interesting. But yeah, so not all the members agreed if the creature had arms, but one person described it as having claws.
Ooh,
like little
creepy.
little claw hands, basically, which is kind of creepy, like when you think about it. So the group kind of freaked out, and they all ran away, obviously, because there's a monster in the woods, supposedly.
Well, right, and their kids.
Allegedly,
and,
there's a
I'd
monster.
Right, yeah, I'd be running too.
After returning home, the mother of the two boys contacted the local sheriff and a news reporter. The reporter returned to the site with the farmer later that night. They reported the sickening smell of burnt metallic odor was still there. So they did say that they did smell the smell that they smelled.
The smell was real.
Yes.
Okay.
They searched the location and they did find anything else related to their story.
No ship or no nothing?
No, nothing. There was nothing there.
Okay.
So the next morning, the reporter did find tracks because he returned to like check in the day, because this all happened at night.
Mm-hmm.
And he did find like tracks, which people kind of speculate that they're car tracks from other people checking out the location, since everyone's kind of, how like in small towns, fucking word travels.
Everybody wants to go.
Everyone in the world probably looking.
See it
yes.
Nosy.
So
yes, I know.
it's
I'm included.
Kind of,
I would be the nosy.
Yes.
The
be like looking out your window with binoculars.
Yep. With my binoculars. Yep.
They did find traces of black liquid, but we don't know if that's related to whatever vehicle was up there.
Oh, okay.
So, obviously, media attention took off, and multiple reports of spottings of creatures similar were reported. Gotta take it with a grain of salt, though, because who freaking knows if it's...
Right.
Like,
they might have just been saying that just so they would
to get attention. A lot of people start...
Yep.
Like, all of a sudden, all of these things pop up very similar after this report.
Mm-hmm.
So, you never know. Maybe it was, but at this point, who knows?
Right.
Some speculate that the Flatwoods Monster strange appearance is actually a spacesuit that hides a reptilian alien inside. This is some of the weirder...
Here we go with more lizard people.
Lizard people are inside. And History Channel put that on their description of it for some reason. The guy who came up with this original concept they based it a lot off of his kind of weird concept
they're usually
art.
Really good about
they're usually really good.
Say, you know what I mean?
There was actually another episode on History Channel about it. Remember the Project Blue Book? TV series? They did a thing about the Flatwoods Monster, actually.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out.
Which is interesting, yeah. It was an episode in 2019, actually.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
So some pop culture references, because the Flatwoods Monster, like, I've heard about the Flatwoods Monster through, like, pop culture stuff. Like, the big one is Fallout 76. He appears as a final, if you played Fallout 76, he's, like, one of the cryptids, because you can also find Mothman in Fallout 76.
Really?
He appears as the final boss of the NES game Amagon. He's in Tomodachi Life. The Flatwoods Monster makes an appearance. Ooh. In The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, the creatures invade Romani Ranch, bearing a resemblance to the Flatwoods Monster. Like the I never thought about it.
Remember that from when you used to play?
Well, I never thought about it, but like the aliens did look really weird because they were like aliens that would invade the ranch as like a thing that would happen in the game. But now that I think about them, I was like, oh, they do kind of have a resemblance. So these are the explanations that people think. Like, these is kind of the popular, this is what it really is or what happened. So they think the fiery ball that the kids originally saw was a meteor.
Okay, that makes sense, I guess. I could see that.
Speculation says that the creature was actually an owl.
Okay, I'm not buying that one.
Yeah.
Owls don't have red eyes again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but the shape of it,
right, with the talons.
Yes, the talons. I could see where, and the shape of its wings will look like a spade when it's out.
Yeah.
And say it got startled because the kids are fucking shining lights.
But
I guess I could
how
see
big it was, though. They said
they said it was
like
10 feet tall.
Yeah,
and it said it glowed. I don't think freaking owls glow. Last time I checked,
unless they've been getting into nuclear waste somewhere. I mean, is there a nuclear waste plant?
It's West Virginia. You don't know. You don't know that.
That's true. There could be like a hidden government.
It's West Virginia. Anything is possible out there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
So there was a meteor sightings across Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia that night. So there are
really? So that is
a plausible thing that could have been. But did the meteor could have actually crashed though? So we don't know. So
right, yeah.
But there was something seen in the sky. So there is at least confirmation of that part of the story is accurate.
Confirmed.
Confirmed at least, because there was like that specific night they were able to place it. But the owl thing, it's kind of like how they say that Mothman was like the sandhill crane.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I'm like, there's too many weird other stuff going on with like everything else that happened.
Thin, though, and everything that everybody's described, he's like, it's a thicker kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are nuts.
So, because they're gonna embrace it. They gotta embrace the city. Because it's a small town. Like there was like only 200 or so people that lived there at the time.
Oh,
it's a very tiny city,
a small town
or town, I guess.
Tiny.
So there is this welcome sign in Flatwoods that says "Home of the Green Monster."
Okay.
They have an annual Flatwoods Day, which is like a festival, kind of like the Mothman Festival, where they they gotta play it up for them. And then there is a Flatwoods Monster Museum with like stuff from it.
Okay, that's it. We're gonna stop there.
I know.
Way to Mothman.
When we're in West Virginia, might as well hit them all up.
That's right.
And then this is really kind of funny. The city built 5 tall chairs in the shape of the monster to serve as a landmark and a visitor attraction.
What?
We gotta go sit in the chairs. Yeah, they're like chairs, and they're like shaped like the monster. You can sit on them.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting. Yeah, let's check that out.
It's near like the town hall or whatever.
Yeah, interesting.
We'll have to go and take a photo of us sitting in the chairs.
Yeah, chairs. Yeah, really.
Get some Flatwoods Monster merch. But that is the story of the Flatwoods Monster.
Huh. Never heard of it until... Well, I mean,
I heard of it, but I never knew the actual story or how it came from.
the story behind it. Right.
So I thought, I guess we might as well cover it. Because we're going to the Mothman Festival.
I know, yeah.
Matt, we gotta go to the Flatwoods.
I know.
I think they're kind of close together. I'd have to look at a map, but...
Are they?
I'm gonna assume, because they're like, they would sell Flatwoods Monster stuff at the Mothman Museum, actually. Yes, today, you are nice. What is your topic today?
Today, we're gonna be covering the story of Ong's Hat, New Jersey. And this one is kind of crazy. It's got some conspiracy theories and all kinds of weird stuff kind of going on in this little town. And it's not your usual haunted, spooky town. This is like, government conspiracy theory stuff and all that good stuff. Anyway, so Ong's Hat, New Jersey is located in the Pine Boroughs of New Jersey.
The Pine Boroughs?
So, yeah.
That's interesting. That's where the Jersey Devil's from.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
So, there are several stories of how the town got its name. So the first one is that there was a man by the name of Jacob Ong who was a Quaker, and he came over. He was like one of the first colonists that came over, and he was a very snappy dresser, and he owned this nice silk hat. And a lot of people back then, they didn't have very nice clothing, but he did. So one night he was at there was like a dance hall in their little town that they lived in, and he was at a party there, what they like to call a ladies' man. And so he was there, and I guess he pissed off his boyfriend or something. And in a fit of anger, somebody grabbed his hat off his head and stomped it flat. Now, keep in mind, the silk hat was very inexpensive hat. And so Jacob was so upset that he took his hat, he ran outside, and in a flurry, he flung it up into the air. And it snagged on a branch, and it stuck tight on this branch and remained there for many, many years. So they use that as the unofficial marker for this town's location, and it became known as Ong's Hat. Get it?
Ong's Hat, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's another version, and in this one, it's still named after Ong, but he and his family had built a hut on the property that he had his family farm on. And the reason why they had the hut was because he had grains that he grew in a different location, and he would have to bring them to wherever it was they sold all that at. And that was like in a different town, like really far away. So he built this hut as a temporary shelter on his property, and it was like on the transportation for the grain transportation line. So he would stay there when his family and him would stay there when they were trying to transport grain back and forth between his farm and wherever he took it to be sold. So anyway, and that's how the other version of it is Ong's hut. But usually most people know it as Ong's hat. So the town has been on maps for centuries, dating as far back as 1778. And the last resident of Ong's hat left in 1936. And this was a Polish immigrant by the name of John Chininski. And his wife also lived in the town with him. Now, she disappeared first without a trace. Nobody could figure out where she was or where she went. She left nothing behind. And then shortly after she disappeared, he disappeared as well. And they could nobody ever found them. They don't know where they went. Now, this is where things get a little crazy weird, and we go down a huge rabbit hole. All right. So a couple years later, there was a skeleton that was found in the wooded area near where they had lived, and they speculate that it was one of them, but it wasn't both of them. There's still, one of them still missing. Now, here's where things get crazy, like I said. So, according to urban legend and conspiracy theories, Ong's hat contains a portal to another dimension. And the theory goes that our friend John Chininski and his wife actually found this portal, and they got transported to another version of Ong's hat. But anyway, the story goes that in 1978, a man named Wally Fard, who, by the way, was a very famous jazz musician back in the 60s, bought over 200 acres of land, and part of that land was Ong's hat. A Moorish, it's called the Moorish Science Ashram. He was like a Moorish person, and that's like a type of religion. And he established a place called the Moorish Science Ashram. And when a bunch of scientists found out what he was doing and kind of what his particular religion believed in, they decided to join him and expanded it, and it became known as the Institute for the Cahus. So what the Institute for Cahus Studies does or is, they believe that humans could travel, it's like a fringe idea, and they believe that with your mind you can actually make things happen or transpire or whatever. So these two scientists, who, by the way, they were basically pushed out of Princeton because they were told that their ideas were too wacky. At the time, they thought they were, wackadoodles.
Yeah, wacky.
That their stuff wasn't based on real science. It was, hokey science. So, anyway, later on, the Institute for Cahus Studies actually invented a device called the egg, which helps facilitate interdimensional travel. And humans were able to travel to an alternate Earth. So, what happened is this dude named Wally Fraud published these Xerox newsletters and would post them all over towns all around the area in New Jersey there. And people on the fringe who believed in his ideas started flocking to his land, and we got the forming of this cult, if you want to call it a cult. Some people do. Yeah. But among these people who came were these two scientists by the name of Frankie and Althea Dobbs. Now, the Dobb twins were kind of, like I said, way out there, and they got pretty much kicked out of Princeton for their ideas. In fact, they were basically writing their, it was like they were going for their doctorate or whatever, and they were on their final paper. And Princeton decided their ideas were just too weird and wild, and they cut them off. But anyway, the Dobbs twins were raised in Texas with their father, who is a kook in his own. Now, their father is a very interesting man. He believed that God would speak to him through his TV. their father
Oh.
started a UF cult. Yeah, their father's like really weird.
Yeah.
Their father started a UF cult, a UFO cult, and he was like the leader of it. And so these kids, grew up with that, really weird way of thinking and stuff. So
Yeah.
as you can imagine. So the Dobb twins, they came there and they actually had their own trailer. This fraud guy actually let them have some trailer on his property, and that is where they set up their own laboratory, and they began making discoveries that shook the small community that they were living in to the core. So they were testing theories that people could tap into unused portions of their brains and do things such as stop aging, purging diseases from their bodies, and stuff like that. So after several years of doing these types of studies, and they would get people to come there, and they would perform these experiments on them. Some of this is kind of questionable what they were doing, but
Yeah.
you know how people are. They get sucked in and they think, and they get hooked on these ideas, and, they think they're helping out the greater good and all that. So after several years, that's when they developed the egg, and it's also known as the gate. Now, when I started reading this, you know what I immediately thought of is the movie Stargate. Remember?
Oh,
where
Stargate,
they erected that big gate that was, for galactic, travel and all that good stuff. So the first test that they ever did was with a runaway kid. And when they put the boy into the egg, after a few tries, nothing really happened. But, kind of like on one of their final test runs, they actually got the boy and the egg to disappear together. And then moments later, they both reappeared. And the boy claimed that he had gone to a different dimension next door. So as members of this little group disappeared, and they were never, and the story goes that the members of this group all disappeared and they were never heard from again. So some people say that they used the gate to flee to another dimension because they were worried, they were conspiracy people, and they thought that the government was after them. They were going to steal what they were doing and take it away from them. So they thought that by using their little device, they could go, someplace else and nobody could bother them, and they can do all kinds of crazy
That's
stuff.
so weird.
So also on top of this, the Dobb twins supposedly also created a church of the subgenius, and they used their father as their god kind of thing. Does that make sense? He was the central theme of everything they did, and they would lure youth to come to this, be in their little church / cult, and they would use the youth that joined them for their experiments and stuff. So they were doing these experiments. So some say that the experiments they discovered made Ong's hat. There was a big, huge, bloody confrontation with our government that occurred there. That's what people say.
Oh.
Now, you can't find this anywhere, but this is just what people say. They say that the government used the Delta Force, and they killed all 7 members of their group. They say that, and others think that it was Russia that came in and did it, because the weird thing is, after, they had their little thing going on in, the 80s, this group totally disappeared. Nobody could find them. All the people that were involved with all this disappeared off the face of the earth. Nobody has found them in any of the years since. Yeah, they just disappeared. And all their stuff was, none of their stuff was left there. But there were, signs and stuff that they had up, this way to, food, you know what I mean? They had, little signs all over this whole area because they were doing experiments and stuff there. Some people think the military didn't take them away, that they actually escaped, and they knew what was going to happen, and they used their gate, because the gate, nobody can find the egg chair that they invented. There's pictures of this chair everywhere, but nobody can find it. It's never been found. Or the government has it and we don't know about it, which could very well be. That's true. But they believe, though, that one of the theories out there, anyway, one of the conspiracy theories, is that they use their chair to go, and they've set up a whole nother existence on one of the other, planes of Earth that's out there. Oh. So people say that Ong's hat was... So people say that it was the home of a nerdy, mysterious science cult for a while. Or is it one of the earliest known internet hoaxes? Because Also related to all this is a gentleman by the name of Joseph Matheny, and I'll, if I don't mention this, people are gonna get all
your
up in arms.
DMs.
Yeah. Anyway, Joseph Matheny basically wrote this book about, it's called like The Beginning of Ogsmead or whatever, and people say that it's not real. None of this is ever true. It was all made up in a hoax, and it was like the first internet hoax ever conducted, because this was like back in the 90s, and they were trying to promote all this on the internet and that. And it was also, they say, the precursor to the first ever role-playing game that people do on the internet and stuff like that. In fact, they say it's before. Do you remember? Have you ever heard of the game like The Beast? It's from AI. It's based off the movie AI Intelligence. Well, this predates that, and people swear that it's just a game, and you can still find the game that he made up, but there's like a name for it. Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but anyway, you can still find his game out there, and there's like. It's so weird. There's all these papers, and they say he made it up. Like, he says he's got all these papers that came from somebody, but he won't say who it was. And people think that he just wrote them all himself. And it's just some really crazy, wacky shit. Weird. And let me tell you, once I went down this rabbit hole, the Dobbs twins, man, they're pretty messed up. And some of the stuff that people claim that they were involved in, I don't know. It's just crazy what's going on. Now, the church, by the way, of Subgenius still exists today, apparently. Really? And they're still recruiting people for their church.
We should join that church. Sounds like a good opportunity.
I am not joining that church. People say all kinds of interesting things about it. I don't need to join it. But anyway, so that's all I have on the little town of Og's Hat, and whether or not it's an interdimensional gateway to some other, Earth or whatever.
I think it's funny because I almost covered this other topic that was about like a portal in space-time or something.
Really? Interesting. That is kind of funny.
I didn't have enough time to get the book though, because like there's a book on it that's apparently you have to read, and then it wouldn't have. It's only in fucking paper book. I can't get the Kindle version, which is stupid.
Yeah, you missed. Anymore, you can.
But apparently people in the comment section were even complaining. They're like, it's like a $20 book, so I'm like, is it worth the investment?
Yeah, probably not. But Joseph Matheny, like I said, he had some really crazy, like far out there, like radical thoughts in that. So I'm surprised he's not on, the government's
a watch list
or whatever. Yeah,
right.
But anyway, so that's what I came up with. I thought it was really interesting that they're this little town that people think it's some, gate. So people will actually, there's no homes there anymore, but people will go there to try to see if they can find the egg, because they think it's like hidden, like it's there, but it's not there type thing. So people go there and try to search for it to see if they can travel to another dimension. Or
we should go find the egg.
I know, right? Some people believe that there's just a portal on the property that you can use to get there, and that the egg was just a means of, helping you get to the other side or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But these Dobbs twins believe that just using your brain power, you could, do all that. So, Yep. So that's all I have today. So.
All right. Well, if you what?
Wait,
oh yeah, I forgot you had something you were gonna say. Yeah. I know, I forgot.
We just had a quick announcement that we wanted to make, that we have some really cool news coming up. We are going to be starting a store. And on July 1st, we'll be launching our Etsy store. It will be called Two Scaredy Cats Creations. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll be doing a giveaway too before the launch date. So be checking our Instagram for updates about that. Now, go ahead, Tara. Sorry.
No, you're good. I forgot. But if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.